The lights died without warning. Steel doors unlocked by themselves. Frozen air rushed through empty halls where men had vanished without records. Somewhere beneath the ice, something valuable was being protected at any cost. But who decided these men would never leave? And why were some never found? It began with a promise that sounded too good to be real, and for most of them, that should have been the warning. Each man received the offer in a different way. An email, a phone call, a quiet message passed through an agent who said he worked with international contractors. The words were carefully chosen. High pay, short-term work, full legal protection. No experience required. Only one condition: absolute secrecy. For men already living on the edge, secrecy felt like a small price to pay. Some were factory workers who had just been laid off. Some were migrants stuck between borders. One had sold his car to pay medical bills. Another hadn't seen his children in 3 years. When survival is uncertain, hope becomes dangerous. Within weeks, all 28 were booked on flights heading north, far north. The final airport was small, silent, surrounded by endless white land. Snow pressed against the windows like a wall. The air felt sharp, almost hostile. No one spoke much. They were loaded into dark vans and driven for hours through frozen wilderness. No signs, no towns, just headlights cutting through falling snow. One man tried to check the time on his phone. It was already dead. Then, out of the darkness, the structure appeared. A massive compound, half buried in ice. Tall fences crowned with wire. Steel doors thick enough to stop a truck. Floodlights hummed softly, casting long shadows across the snow. It looked less like a workplace and more like a forgotten fortress. A guard stepped forward and collected their documents: passports, contracts, phones. "You'll get these back later," he said flatly. The gates opened, the vans moved in. As the doors closed behind them, a deep metallic sound echoed through the compound. It lingered longer than it should have, vibrating through the men's chests. One of them turned around, instinctively reaching for the gate. It didn't move. Inside, the air was colder, not just in temperature, but in feeling. The walls were thick, the lights were harsh, and everywhere they looked, there were cameras. No welcome speech, no tour, just orders. "Follow the rules," a supervisor said. "Do your job, and everything will be fine." But as they were led deeper underground, one question quietly formed in every mind, a question no one dared to ask out loud. If this job was so safe, why did it already feel like they were never meant to leave? The first warning came from the cold. Not the kind that bites your skin for a moment and fades, but a cold that settles deep into the bones and refuses to leave. On their first morning inside the facility, the men woke to frost lining the edges of the metal walls. Their breath hung in the air, thick and white, even inside their sleeping quarters. The temperature never rose. They were issued identical uniforms, heavy boots, and gloves that felt stiff even before use. A supervisor explained the rules in a flat, emotionless voice. No phones. No outside contact. No questions about the work. Violations, he said, would create problems for everyone. At first, the routine felt almost normal. Wake up, eat, work, sleep. But the work itself was strange. They were sent into massive underground halls where the lights buzzed softly above endless rows of steel shelves. Each shelf held large metal crates, sealed tight and covered in ice. The men were ordered to move them carefully, never opening them, never damaging them. Warning symbols were stamped on every crate, but there were no labels, no names, no explanations. The cold inside those halls was unbearable. It burned the lungs with every breath. After minutes, fingers went numb. After hours, the pain disappeared, and that scared them even more. Guards watched from elevated platforms, faces hidden behind masks. They spoke only when necessary. Some men tried small talk. No one replied. Days turned into weeks. Weeks blended together. There were no windows, no clocks, no sense of time passing. The only sign of day or night was when the lights dimmed slightly during rest hours. Then small things began to change. Food portions shrank. Maintenance checks became less frequent. One night, alarms screamed without warning, and everyone was locked inside their rooms for hours. When the doors finally opened, no explanation was given. One man noticed cameras following them more closely. Another realized that the exit signs never lit up. When someone asked about the end of their contract, the supervisor paused, just for a second too long. "The schedule has been adjusted," he said. "You'll be informed when necessary."
Yeah, something's not right.
That was when fear replaced confusion. Late one night, as freezing wind howled through unseen vents, a quiet thought passed between them without words. This place wasn't designed for workers. It was designed to hold people. And if that was true, what exactly were they being kept here to protect? The scream echoed through the frozen hall and then stopped. By the time the others reached him, Omar was already on the floor. His body lay twisted beside a metal crate, frost clinging to his clothes and eyelashes. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. One glove had slipped off his hand, his fingers dark and stiff, frozen mid-reach. Someone shouted for help. Someone else tried to lift him. Before they could, guards rushed in. Weapons raised, voices sharp. Orders barked in a language no one recognized. The men were forced back, pressed against the icy wall as Omar's body was dragged away like cargo. No medical team arrived. No questions were asked. By morning, his bed was empty. His name was never spoken again. The supervisor gathered them later that day. He said Omar had suffered a medical incident. He warned them not to speculate. "Fear causes mistakes," he said calmly. "Mistakes cause accidents." But fear was already everywhere. Sleep became impossible. Every cough sounded dangerous. Every slip on the ice felt fatal. Men watched each other closely, wondering who would be next, and how easily they could disappear. Days later, something changed. One of the crates arrived, damaged, its metal edge split by impact. Ice coated the opening like glass. The men hesitated, waiting for orders that never came. Guards were distracted elsewhere. For the first time, no one was watching. Slowly, someone chipped away the ice. Inside was a sealed container, and inside that, wrapped carefully, preserved perfectly, was a human organ. No labels, no documentation, just flesh, frozen solid. The room went silent. Suddenly, the rules made sense. The secrecy, the cold, the isolation. This place wasn't storage, it was preservation. And they weren't employees, they were insurance. Living locks placed around something illegal and valuable. That night, the men whispered in terror. How many crates were there? How long had this been happening? And most frightening of all, how many people had died to fill them? Omar's death no longer felt random, it felt necessary. As the lights dimmed and the cold pressed in once more, a realization settled heavily among them. If the truth ever escaped this place, neither would they. And if they stayed silent, how long before the ice claimed another life? The first escape attempt ended in silence. It happened during a shift change, when the guards were fewer and the cameras turned slowly, like tired eyes. 3 men slipped into a service corridor they had memorized over weeks of quiet observation. Their hearts pounded louder than their footsteps. For the first time in months, hope felt close enough to touch. Then the alarms exploded. Red lights flooded the halls. Heavy doors slammed shut. Freezing air blasted through the corridor like a weapon. The men were dragged back, beaten to the floor, and locked away for days in isolation rooms colder than any storage hall. When they returned, none of them spoke again. After that, time lost its shape. Days blended into weeks. Weeks disappeared into a frozen blur. Beards grew thick. Skin cracked and bled. Fingers went numb and never fully recovered. Some men began to talk to themselves. Others stared for hours at the same wall, as if trying to remember who they were before the ice. Food became scarce. What once felt strict now felt cruel. Thin soup, hard bread. Hunger sharpened tempers and broke friendships. Small arguments turned dangerous. Everyone was exhausted. Everyone was afraid. Then came the second attempt. One man, young, desperate, made it farther than anyone else. He reached the outer yard during a supply delivery, slipping through blowing snow toward the fence. For a brief moment, they saw him turn back, eyes wide with hope. A single shot cracked through the air. His body fell into the snow and stayed there, frozen where it landed. No one was allowed to move it. The message was clear. By the end of the first year, 5 men were gone. By the middle of the second, more followed, some from sickness, some from cold, some simply giving up. Their names faded, their beds emptied. The living stopped asking questions. But survival does strange things to people. They learned the building's rhythms, which doors hummed before opening, which guards avoided eye contact, which cameras lagged by seconds. They whispered plans they never fully trusted. Hope became dangerous, but impossible to kill. Then, one day, someone new arrived. A systems engineer sent to repair failing power lines. He looked different, less hardened, less empty. For the first time in 2 years, the men saw someone who didn't belong to the machine. That night, a small note was hidden inside a glove and pressed into his hands. 5 words, shaking ink. "We are prisoners. Help us." The engineer read it. And 2 days later, he vanished. After that, the facility changed. Guards grew nervous. Systems failed more often. The ice groaned louder in the walls. And the men began to wonder, had that message doomed them? Or had it finally been heard? The lights went out without warning. One moment, the halls hummed with their usual cold electricity. The next, everything fell into darkness. No alarms. No instructions. Just silence, thick, heavy, and terrifying. For a few seconds, the men stood frozen, unsure if this was another punishment or something far worse. Then the walls began to groan. A deep, mechanical sound echoed through the facility as backup systems tried, and failed, to wake up. Emergency lights flickered red, then died. Somewhere far below, metal slammed against metal. The ice itself seemed to shift, cracking softly like a living thing. Doors unlocked. Not all of them, but enough. The men didn't speak. They ran. Barely able to see, they followed memory and instinct through corridors they had walked for 2 years. Smoke poured from vents. Freezing air rushed in violently as pressure systems collapsed. In the chaos, guards shouted, some fleeing, others firing blindly into the dark. One man fell and didn't get up. Another vanished into a collapsing stairwell. No one stopped. There was no time for grief. They reached the surface through a service tunnel that should have been sealed forever. The outside air hit them like a slap. Brutal, wild, real. Snow blinded them. Wind screamed across the empty land. Behind them, the facility shuddered, lights flashing weakly before sinking into darkness once more. 15 men made it out. They walked without direction, without food, without strength. Just one goal, away. Hours passed, maybe longer. Some collapsed and were dragged forward. Some begged to stop. No one listened. When the patrol lights finally appeared on the horizon, no one believed it was real. Rescue teams arrived after tracing an emergency signal triggered during the power failure. The men were wrapped in blankets, lifted into vehicles, their faces hollow and unrecognizable. Many couldn't speak. Some cried. Others stared straight ahead, unmoving. What investigators later uncovered would shock even seasoned officials. An underground operation hidden beneath ice and silence, protected by isolation and fear. Evidence was seized, reports were written, doors were sealed again. Officially, the facility was destroyed. Unofficially, much of what happened there was buried, classified, denied, forgotten. Of the 15 survivors, only 9 ever returned to their old lives. The rest disappeared into new identities, secure locations, or quiet obscurity. And still, one question remains unanswered. In a place built to hide the truth beneath layers of ice and secrecy, how much was never found, and how many stories are still frozen below?